They say no one wins the Kentucky Derby by accident. But on one sweltering Derby week, someone was about to die by one. And not just any someone, a man who knew too much, trusted too few, and picked the wrong person to pull the trigger. This is the story of a hit gone wrong, a horse that shouldn't have won, and a USB drive that could burn an empire to the ground. Before we start, please subscribe to this channel and share this video with anyone who loves good stories. Dane Sorrento wasn't a man you hired unless you needed someone to disappear. Fast, quiet, and without questions. 20 years in the shadows had earned him a reputation. No mistakes, no mess. Until the Kentucky Derby. The job came down through a private courier, kill Frankie Mars, a mid-level horse owner with debts in Dubai and a conscience growing too loud for comfort. Mars, it turned out, was preparing to expose something big, off-the-books betting, race manipulation, and financial trails that led to high places. The employer? A billionaire named Leon Vassell, CEO of a media conglomerate by day, offshore bookie kingpin by night. Vassell wanted Mars silenced before Derby Day. Quietly, discreetly, Sorrento took the job. But from the moment he stepped into stall 17, everything started to unravel. It was past midnight when Sorrento crept into the South End stables behind Churchill Downs. Stall 17. That was the mark. In and out. But what he found wasn't Frankie Mars, it was someone else. A groomer. Already wounded, bleeding out. The man looked up, blood foaming in his mouth, and said just 3 words. "You're late." Then he collapsed. Next to him, barely visible in the straw, was a USB drive wrapped in frayed electrical tape. Sorrento pocketed it out of habit and fled the scene, without pulling the trigger. And just like that, the perfect job became a $1 million mistake. By sunrise, the man from stall 17 was dead. The press called him Darius Sloan, a nobody with no enemies and no history. But the story didn't end there. Because Frankie Mars was missing. And his prized racehorse, Lazarus Gamble, was still scheduled to run. Mars had disappeared. His phone disconnected. His staff scattered. And yet, his horse, the long shot, was still being groomed to race. Sorrento knew something was off. He retreated to a seedy motel outside Lexington and finally opened the drive. What he found could shake the world. It wasn't just racing data. Inside the USB were encrypted financials, offshore bank accounts, shell companies, and payout schedules tied directly to international betting syndicates. Saudi funds routed through Dubai. Payouts timed to unexpected wins. And worse, audio files. If Mars talks, the entire pool collapses. One slip and we're all indicted. He knows about the gene doping, the AI simulations, the Lazarus trial. Sorrento realized he hadn't stumbled onto a horse race. He'd walked into a conspiracy. And the horse? Lazarus Gamble wasn't a fluke. He was engineered to win. The first hit squad found Sorrento 2 days later, at a gas station off Route 60. 2 men in black sedans. No badges. No questions. But Sorrento didn't hesitate. He crippled the first with a pump handle sink and slammed the second into an ice chest, leaving them both unconscious as he drove off in their vehicle. He was no longer just the hunter. Now he was the hunted. Sorrento knew that Vassell's power came not from violence, but from information. Every Derby result for the past 5 years had been scripted. The miracle wins? Engineered. The underdog stories? Bought and paid for. Horses were doped with next-gen drugs, trained in AI-assisted rigs, and fed synthetic hormones undetectable by current labs. Billions moved across crypto platforms during every Derby. If Lazarus won, entire markets would shift. But Frankie Mars had planned to sabotage that. And now? He was gone. So Sorrento made a decision. He wouldn't run. He would return to Churchill Downs. Not as a killer, but as an avenger. It was Derby morning. Louisville was drowning in bourbon and gold teeth. The crowd stretched 150,000 strong. Millionaires in seersucker suits, senators, celebrities, shadows in the stands. Sorrento walked in with a fake press badge, dressed like a beat reporter, and carried nothing but a syringe filled with a rare paralytic, originally intended for Lazarus if Mars had flipped early. Now it had a new target. Leon Vassell. Vassell sat in Box A, surrounded by security, sipping mint juleps like a king on a doomed throne. He didn't notice the stranger moving through the crowd. Too confident, too arrogant. The race began. As the horses charged out of the gate, Lazarus stumbled early. 5th place at the half-mile. Then came the surge. The crowd roared. And Lazarus' gamble is coming alive. He's taking the outside lane. Just as Lazarus made his final move, Sorrento did too. He slipped through the crowd, bumped into Vassell, and plunged the needle into the side of his neck. No one saw. By the time Lazarus crossed the finish line, first by a hair, Leon Vassell was slumped in his chair, eyes wide, breath gone. They called it a heart attack. But one man knew better. The story broke 3 days later. A whistleblower reporter in Chicago aired leaked documents anonymously mailed from Kentucky. Names redacted, locations blurred. The truth: races were being fixed. Offshore bets tied to political donations. Synthetic gene enhancements on horses. Faked injuries. Bribed trainers. Blackmailed jockeys. The Derby, it turned out, was never just about horses. It was a billion-dollar deception engine. Vassell's empire crumbled. Investigations followed. But the names at the top? Untouched. And Sorrento? Gone. Lazarus was quietly retired 2 weeks after the Derby. No explanation. No interviews. No breeding rights offered. Some say he lives alone on a private ranch in Wyoming, still wearing the scars of a race that was never meant to happen. Some say he was a miracle. Others say he was a weapon. But one thing's for sure. The man who was supposed to die in stall 17 changed the course of history. And the man who pulled the wrong trigger? He vanished into the wind like the ghost he had always been. In a world where every race is fixed, sometimes the only winner is the one who walks away. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to our channel and tap the notification bell so you do not miss the next big one.